Now, then, Barack Obama was supposed to be back in the White House by now at the end of a week-long foray during which he tackled everything from economic meltdown to nuclear proliferation. But he had one last surprise stop to make, involving a small detour to Iraq. It was his first visit as Commander-in-Chief to the scene of a war that he has always argued America should never have entered. US soldiers gave their president a warm welcome. He, in turn, promised them that he'll press the Iraqis to, quote, take responsibility for their own country. The BBC's North America editor Justin Webb reports from the place where Mr. Obama's trip was meant to end, Istanbul.
This is the image the Obama White House wants the entire world to notice, the image of the whole trip, an American president in Istanbul's Blue Mosque, respectfully learning about the world outside America, admiring its traditions, admiring its history. And this might go down rather well at home in America. Just hours after that visit to the mosque, the president flew in on an unannounced trip to Camp Victory outside Baghdad.
Thank you.
But the welcome from the troops whose mission he is ending could not have been warmer.
It is time for us to transition to the Iraqis. They need to take responsibility for their country and for their sovereignty. And in order for them to do that, they've got to make political accommodations. They're going to have to decide that they want to resolve their differences through constitutional means and legal means.
There are 140,000 US troops in Iraq at the moment. Under the Obama plan, they'll be cut to 50,000 by the end of August 2010, and by the end of 2011, all will be gone. So the president needs partners who can take control. Iraq's Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki came out to Camp Victory to hear firsthand what the new US leader is hoping will happen. Of course, what Mr. Obama wants and what happens might not necessarily be the same thing. There have been a number of bombings in recent days that have reminded Iraqis of how fragile their lives still are. But the Obama approach has won friends.
God willing, Obama has the solution for Iraq. Obama has helped the government here to face terrorism.
I think an American withdrawal is better than them staying in Iraq. Our forces have the ability to keep order and security.
To some back in America, Mr. Obama's withdrawal from Iraq is just another sign of his naivety. They say this whole trip has seen him give way, but get nothing in return.
But this evening, the White House rejected that charge. They say there have already been tangible benefits, and they put their main focus on the future. This, they say, has been an investment, and one day it will pay off. Justin Webb, BBC News, Istanbul.
Justin didn't make it to Baghdad, but Jim Yor did. He's based there, and he watched the president today. I spoke to him earlier in the afternoon. So, Jim, President Obama got a hero's welcome from the very same US soldiers which he originally believed shouldn't have gone to Iraq in the first place.
That's right, and not really too much irony there. He has said, I opposed this war in the first place, but now that the troops are there, I have to take responsibility for getting them out in a responsible manner. And that is what he is determined to do. He's made it clear during his visit here that he is set on getting the troops out, all of them out by 2011, most of them out by next year, and out of the cities by the middle of this year, which is what was agreed with the Iraqi government. So he also, I have to say, has left a bit of leeway there, because he's saying that we're not going to stick to a rigid kind of timetable if things aren't going right. We'll do it in a responsible way, not a way that's going to destabilize Iraq. But his message to the Iraqi president and prime minister seems to have been quite clear, that you have got to get your political house in order, you've got to reconcile yourselves, you've got to make your government and your institutions inclusive, bring everybody in so everybody feels represented and that they have a stake in the country's future. Otherwise things may go to pieces as we withdraw. You have to take your responsibilities.
And are people worried that as he transfers troops and attention from the war in Iraq to the war in Afghanistan, that with the recent upswing in violence that we've seen on the streets of places like Baghdad, we might actually go back to where we were a few years ago?
Well, that, of course, was a worry that was raised, especially in the last 24 hours, because we've had 7 car bombs across Baghdad here, different parts of the city, more than 40 people killed. Not the hugest bombs, but a rash of them, clearly quite coordinated. So that has got people wondering, as the Americans pull out of these cities, are they going to slide back into violence? And nobody really knows the answer to that. But Mr. Obama himself, prompted by his top general here, Ray Odierno, said that this is basically a blip on the screen, that we're not going to allow ourselves to be deterred or put off by this. The general situation, and that's undoubtedly the case, is that the security in the country is very much better than it has been at practically any time since 2003. And that is the thing that they're trying to point to, that things are getting better, but that there has to be this political consolidation by the Iraqis and continued training, of course, of Iraqi security forces to ensure that things don't slide back again.
Indeed. Jim, you're in Baghdad. Thanks very much indeed. Beyond Iraq, there's certainly no shortage of other foreign policy challenges for the Obama administration. Following a meeting today between US Special Envoy Richard Holbrooke and Pakistani President Asif Ali al-Zardari, Pakistan's foreign minister said that there is a lack of trust between his country and the United States, particularly over America's use of missile strikes against militants on Pakistani soil. And in another diplomatic thumb in the eye, North Korea released footage of what it continues to claim was a successful rocket launch on Sunday. The rest of the world can find no evidence that the satellite that Pyongyang claims it put into orbit is really up there, but neither can it find consensus on a response to the launch. Russia and China want restraint, while the US keeps pushing for a much tougher line. Now then, still ahead on BBC World News America, we'll look back at the highs and the lows of Barack Obama's overseas adventures with 2 expert observers, Time Magazine's Michael Duffy and, of course, Cathy Kane.